All right, Hangout is on air. It is Thursday, July 2nd. Happy July, everybody. We're going to do a little review on remaining design tasks for Backdrop CMS. We're going to talk a little bit about the product itself and what we need to do for that, and then we're going to switch to the website, which is where all of the exciting stuff is going on. So for Backdrop, the product, we have a handful of issues that are related to the new admin theme that we put in, which is just minor little cleanup tasks. Since our last design meeting, a lot of those have been completed, which is fabulous. But a whole bunch of more suggestions on how to improve things have been coming in. So that's awesome. I would love to see them continue to come in. I also love seeing them get fixed. So thank you to everybody who's been reporting issues and working on getting them cleaned up. We do have a few major issues of the user interface that we know is a little non-intuitive and we'd like to get cleaned up. The first one is the Layouts UI. This is a new feature that we added into Backdrop. It wasn't in Drupal, so we wrote an entirely new UI for it, which means that that area needs a little bit of attention. We have a lot of issues outlined in our Layouts UI follow-up issue, but there's also other new issues that have been coming in as people are using it. We're getting some really great feedback on what's confusing, what's not confusing, about some terminology that doesn't make a lot of sense, and we're making a lot of progress towards cleaning those up as well too. So our meta issue for the Layouts UI is number 345. I've noticed that people have also started adding another tag into the issue queue. In square brackets, they put in Layout UI, which I think is really handy. So if we have anyone who's specifically interested in working on Layout UI related issues, look for that tag in the queue and you can find issues that are associated to that, in addition to all of the ones that are listed in our meta issue of number 345. So I think going forward it's going to be hard to keep updating a meta issue as all of these little tiny tweaks come in. So go ahead and use that issue tag too, which I think will be handy. Another big pain point for anyone who's been using Drupal since Drupal 5, I think is when CCK went in, maybe it was 4.7, is the field UI. And that's just a really hard problem to solve. We have this really sophisticated, complex tool. How do you build a user interface that is not also overly complex? We know that it was pretty good. The UI was, completely usable back when it first went in, and it had a huge regression when fields went into Drupal 7, just because fields got really complicated in how they were set up, and we've inherited the field UI from Drupal 7 in Backdrop. So I know there's been a lot of good thinking in the Drupal usability community on how to improve it. There's also been a lot of really good thinking in the Backdrop issue queue about how to solve those problems. Two weeks ago, last weekend, they did a Drupal 8 usability study on field UI. They had people create a content type and then try and create content of that type. And we found some really interesting regressions even between Drupal 8's UI and what was in Drupal 7. But Drupal 7's we knew was bad to start with. So really great activity going on over there about other ways we can improve things. I think it would be fabulous if Backdrop's UI team could collaborate with Drupal's UI team and we can exchange ideas and solutions. So if anyone's super interested in working on field UI, I would recommend following up on what's going on in the Drupal community and figuring out how we can work together on making that better for everyone. Same thing, Views UI. Drupal's done a lot in Drupal 8 to improve that. They've taken the Drupal Views UI that was in Drupal 7 and made it responsive. We're a little behind in that front. Our Views UI is not responsive. And people have also been pointing out some inconsistencies between the Views UI in core and the rest of the UIs in core. Like the font sizes are a little off, and part of it is just because the Views UI is so complicated. We're putting so much stuff on the page, there just isn't enough room to have all of the bells and whistles we want on that page if the font size were 16 pixels. But I think that there's still a lot of room for improvement on that interface, and I think that if we can start thinking about how to make it responsive, we can think about how we can take up more space on that page, because things can't stack when they don't fit in the horizontal space provided. So I would love to see some progress going on there too. I know there's a whole bunch of people working on a whole bunch of stuff, but these are the kind of the three biggest pain points in user interfaces in Backdrop right now, are Layouts UI, Field UI, and Views UI. So if anyone's super focused on those things, that would be great. Another thing we would like to do sometime either in the 1.x release cycle or even in Backdrop 2 is add a new front-end theme. And this is because Backdrop right now ships with Bartik, which is Drupal's front-end theme that's been around for a while. It's pretty, but it's not something that people usually end up launching sites with. And I would love to get something that was a little bit more blank slate, maybe something bootstrap-based that people can actually release websites using. I don't like having a throwaway theme in core, even though it makes it look nice out of the box. I want it to be something usable long term. So if we get people working on front-end themes in Contrib, I would love to see some issues in core that are like, hey, we have this solid front-end theme in Contrib, let's move it into core, and we can look at what's involved in doing that in 1.x, see if any changes are necessary. If not, we can just stick it in whenever, which is great. And if we do need to make some changes for whatever reason, we can slate that for Backdrop 2. Okay, so speaking of all of our admin interfaces, we do have a style guide for Backdrop, and Wes, you'd volunteered, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, to take a stab at updating our code in this style guide to actually match the code that's in Backdrop 1. During our development cycle for Backdrop 1, we kind of did a free-for-all on the style guide and just typed whatever we wanted in there to make it look how we wanted it to look. But it would also be really great if we could get like JavaScript working. We have all that stuff working in Backdrop 1. So we were just going to pull it over and kind of start over and make whatever remaining changes are necessary to the style guide directly to that code base. So I don't know if Wes, you've gotten a chance to look at that yet. Whoa, it's done! That's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and update this agenda so we can stop bothering you about that.
Yeah, basically, if you end up using again, all the CSS files are exactly where they would be if it was proper Backdrop. And right now, I just took a straight HTML dump from the style guide module.
Perfect.
And made that index.html and just fixed all the links. And everything seems to be working good as far as I can tell. I didn't do like in depth, but like.
Did you test the modals? Because I know that wasn't working before.
I think it's behaving correctly, but it's in a weird context.
Okay.
It's definitely appearing.
Okay. As long as we can see it, because then we can start. Because before it was like, imagine what the modal will look like.
Right.
That's great. Okay, fabulous. I think that's wonderful, and that will also give us a good place to kind of go and check all of the work that we've done on making Backdrop adhere to its style guide. We can look through that and make sure it actually does adhere the way we wanted it to, which is great. And then if we have any other changes, we can work on, patches that go to that style guide could probably just apply to Backdrop 1 too. So that makes life easier on everyone. Hooray! All right. Let's talk about the fun stuff. So what we've been working on most lately in terms of design is getting backdropcms.org, our flagship website, updated. We have designs for the modules page, the page where you search for modules. We have designs for the module project page. So once you've found a module you want to install, what does that look like? And Darius has done a bunch of work on the themes page as well. And he sent a link to Envision, which I put in the Google Doc, which I think anyone who has that link should be able to access. Let's see if we can pull that up. Ta-da. I thought I had it. Oh, here we go. Okay. Not entirely comfortable navigating around these pages, but I'm going to try and do a screen share here. See if this works. I don't think I've done this on a Hangout before, but share screen. Okay. Recursion. All right. So Darius, I don't know if you want to walk us through these a little bit, maybe, or if we should back up and talk about the modules page too.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay.
Start from the module.
So, this is what we're looking at for modules page. We love it. I love it. Nate loves it. Darius has made it, so hopefully he loves it too. Do you want to walk us through these, Darius?
Sure, yeah. So here we go, modules page. It's pretty straightforward. Just kind of making the most obvious things right front and center, so search at the top. And then below is sort of like a little browsing thing, just a view of interesting or featured popular stuff, cool modules, whatever else, top downloads that people might be interested in. We're considering maybe doing an infinite scroll just for this part, because this type of browsing behavior is different than what a user would be doing when they're actually searching for something more specific. So this is more of like a free-form sort of browsing thing. And then when you actually have a search query, Jen, slide please. There we go. Here's what it looks like. So very similar setup. You have your filters and sorting as well, but we have a pager now at the bottom. And that's new, somewhat. That's been updated since the last time we spoke. Jen, do you have any feedback on the new pager?
No, I think it's cute. I like it.
Okay, awesome. I made it full width and put the titles on things now. Cool. So to see what the filters and the sorts look like, let's go to the next slide.
Oh, this one's broken.
Oh no.
Let's see. Here we go. This one works.
That's weird. Let me see if it's broken for me. Try to go back. That's really weird. 'Cause mine's working.
Maybe I'll just do like force refresh. See if that works.
So that's slide number 3, yeah.
There we go. It works now.
There it is. Cool. So that's a little drop down opens up, and you can choose to filter your query. We're still working on exactly what the filters will be. But this is approximately. Hopefully how many we'll have. We might have a lot more, but we'll see. Try to keep this as lean as possible. And then next will be the sort. A little drop down there. And that arranges the order of your results. Awesome. Cool. Let's see what we have next.
This is the module page.
Yes, this is the interior page after selecting one. A 2-column layout here. Try to make the download button as prominent and upfront as possible there. Little icon and color indication. Jen, I added the kilobyte thing there. I noticed that I had them in the drawer, so might want to have them here. Do you think that is valuable?
I think, like in general, showing someone how big something is before they download it is good. But I think in this case, it might detract from the attention of the download button.
Okay.
Like, I think that the download button was more obvious when it was at the end of the line, and now that it's not, it's a little less obvious that that's the button.
Somewhat obscured.
Yeah.
Maybe make it smaller.
Yeah, I think maybe if you made the size smaller, that would help. Or if we put the size before the button, I'm not even sure.
Or under.
Or under.
I'll make a note. I'll comment. Emphasize somehow.
Your recently download is very interesting.
What's this?
At the bottom of your window, Jen.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's, I've been stealing images of shoes and limbs and stuff, so. Weddings next week. Let's just close that, just in case. Sorry. I was like, recently downloaded number of modules. What? Oh. So yeah, we've got on the sidebars also super interesting too. We tried to kind of aggregate all of the information we thought people would be interested to know about the module in kind of an easy like hit list location. So we have number of downloads, number of people who are actively using it, and the number of people total installed it and actively using it. Yeah, active and total, which I thought would be kind of interesting. So you can see like if a module used to be popular in the past and then went way down, that information would be available to people like right here. And then all of our GitHub links would be together. So obviously the GitHub project page is where most of the development happens. The issue queue is going to be on GitHub, so having a link here to that. And then the documentation, people may choose to use a GitHub wiki for documenting their module. So having all of those links easily accessible from the module page is going to be super useful. And then, of course, the clone URL in case somebody doesn't want to download the bundled version but wants to do development on the module, we can put that here as well. Categories, again, this maps to the categories that we would have on the modules page itself, the search page in the filter box. We're also thinking these will loosely map to the categories that appear on the module page in your Backdrop site. So the same divisions that will appear there will appear on the modules page, and we'll have some process for adding those, much like Drupal.org, where you can say, hey, I have a module that doesn't fit in any category, or there's 10 modules that do fit in a category and the category is missing. So that'll be able to grow organically over time as well. The information on the left-hand side of the page, all of the headings like requirements, installation, known issues, this is just pulled directly from the README file in the module. Right now, this is the way that the page works on backdropcms.org. In the future, we're thinking about also letting some information about the module be editable by the module maintainer. But right now, all of this information is just pulled in directly from GitHub, so people don't have to have a backdropcms.org account in addition to a GitHub account. But we are kind of trying to figure out some way to sync those up in the future. Like we'll have some kind of single sign-on and other things that people will be able to do on the website. But right now, this is just pulled directly from GitHub.
Just think it'd be cool if it's possible to do like the number of issues in parentheses next to the GitHub issues link. Might be fun.
Yeah, we could have like a, yeah, we definitely can pull the number of issues. I think also would be good, like, you know how on Drupal.org they have information about, you know, which ones are open versus or which ones are bugs. Ways we can kind of aggregate that too. It's going to be a little harder because every issue queue can have its own tags for us, but I think like maybe just a number of issues might not be super relevant until we can figure out like what it, you know, is this a module that just doesn't have an issue queue or doesn't use their issue queue?
That's true.
It's going to look much better than one that does, even though the opposite would really be what you'd want. But yeah, that's definitely something we can think about. You know, trying to figure out good numbers to put here. We could pull those in. Let's see. So yeah, the Learn More link is expand collapse. So when you're first on this page, you won't see, you know, all of the information about the module. You'll only see the most important stuff. But if you wanted to read more about it, you can expand that.
It shows up in the next one.
There you go. So here's a longer description of what the module actually does. And this is something I think we're going to leave the Learn More link till phase 2, because we also need to train our module maintainers to put the most valuable sentence in the first paragraph before this will start to be valuable to people. But I think that that is something that we want to aim for. I mean, maybe if we put it up right away, people would just notice that and start doing it that way automatically. But sometimes the first paragraph is something like, this is a port of the Drupal module, which doesn't actually help people in this case. So we'll get that cleaned up.
Next is the drawer.
All right. So this is what happens when you click the See All Versions link. In the second column, we get another drawer that slides out on the right that's just going to contain all of the release history for the module. So if you wanted like a development snapshot or a previous version, like, or I don't know, more information about something you're currently running that may not be current, you can get all of that from here.
Is add a close to that still.
Is there what that looks like at smaller widths mock?
That's the only mock we have for this one.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the first thing I thought is, how do I make that mobile friendly?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And we are going to have to deal a little bit with, you know, worrying about what happens when the other drawer is open and then you click this button, like do we close one drawer and then open the other one? And then how do we stack it all? Like we're already going to have a, you know, have to stack the right column, so maybe there's a way that'll just fit inside.
I haven't done too much mobile designing, but there's a couple of solutions I've thought about for that.
Cool, yeah. I imagine you thought about it more than I have in 5 seconds.
A little.
All right. And now on to the themes page. This is what's new. I'm so excited. I took a look at this morning. It made me very happy.
I'm so excited too.
So the top looks very similar to our module search, right, where we have just a little bit of like what is a theme and then a search box. But significantly different in our themes landscape. There are two different kinds of themes that people are looking for. They're looking for themes that make their site pretty, or they're looking for base themes, or what we're going to call in Backdrop land scaffolding themes. So these are themes that don't actually provide any design so much as a framework that your design will sit on top of. So we've got a filter right here at the very top. So if you're looking for a base theme, you can do that right away. Or if you're looking for a pretty theme, you can do that right away. And on the page that loads initially, we're just going to show the pretty themes, or what we're calling design themes. We can argue about terminology later. But the concept is sound. That if you are coming to the themes page on the Backdrop website, it is most likely that what you want is a theme that will make your site look different. If you are a developer and you want a base theme, you are probably going to download that sucker with Drush as soon as we get Drush working. And if you want to come here and browse them, you can. There's a tab here for scaffolding themes that will let you look through all of those as well. So Darius, do you want to kind of take it over here from here and
Yeah, totally. So we definitely want to encourage the designy aspect, right? Because that's a huge differentiating factor for this project. So that's why the first thing you see here are the pretty in-your-face designy, like WordPress flavor sort of, like good stuff, the stuff that non-developers can relate to. So I was thinking maybe we could totally, this is a much longer discussion, but whether we call them featured or design or whatever, find some way to promote these things up front and center, right? So we probably would never feature a scaffolding or base theme here, right? So I think that also encourages designers to say, hey, look, if I do something, I'm going to be featured. So that was sort of the idea there.
Okay.
There's a couple of other links. This is just food for thought, honestly. But for example, if you were to click on scaffolding, I think maybe check the next slide. And so this is what this looks like, right? So maybe you don't want to use a thumbnail for these because it just looks like nothing. But I notice a lot of them have logos. So I had to make sure that the design worked here as well. And I think it does. The card style still carries over pretty decently.
I think one thing we could do too is, like, because the screen, we don't need that much real estate to show a screenshot because we're not trying to get that much detail, we could put more per row here too. Like,
you could do 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, for these ones you could.
Yeah.
I sort of like the simplicity of that too. It depends on how many we have, right?
Yeah.
We have a ton in the future, maybe go up to 3 for 2 for now, right? Looks like we have more. I also introduced a new color to our color palette because I was thinking about, like, how do we start to, like, brighten things up just a little bit? We were using a lot of that blue, and that green is pretty dominant on the search bar. So I was like, what am I going to do? I can't use red because red is for canceling and whatnot. I'm sort of experimenting with adding this purpley color as a highlight.
I like the purpley color.
Awesome. I am so happy to hear that. That indicates the active state. And then let's see what's next. I had a couple scrolling ideas. Now this is, okay, so this is the view you get when you search. So more of a simplistic list view here. This is more of a utilitarian thing. And the filters and sorts would look identical to the modules.
Okay.
So I didn't include all of the fields that we talked about from the pages index because I figured, like, I want to keep this as lean and stripped down as possible, and we can save a lot of the information for the node pages. If there's anything that I left out that you think is really important, just put a comment in there. And I'll figure out a way.
Do you happen to have the pages index open at the moment?
I do, yes. Let me get
Can you
that
just list off a couple of the things we thought we wanted on here?
Okay, sure. Let me look. Well, first I'll post a link.
Okay.
Let's see, where's the chat?
What about layouts? Wouldn't that be kind of a third tab here?
So layouts, we're going to have a whole nother top level item. So just like we have a modules page and we'll also have a layouts one, and it might require its own design just because modules are more about text themes are more about the screenshot. Layouts are going to be about like thumbnails of what all those layouts are.
Yep.
So just we've got different information to display, so we thought we'd just do a completely different.
Yep. Okay.
Page.
Cool.
So interesting thing, we never indexed this list view actually.
Okay.
What we did do is the themes landing,
Okay.
which is similar stuff. So we said we wanted screenshots and thumbnails. We got that.
Yeah.
A description. We don't have a description here on the landing page, and I don't know if we need it.
Yeah. I really
visual.
like this too, and I think like for the most part, like if we're going to be showing people what their site looks like, talking about it isn't super valuable here.
Awesome. I am so on board for that.
I like the name.
Okay.
I like the screenshot. I also kind of like the credit, although I think that might be a little trickier, just because sometimes it's a company and sometimes it's a person and sometimes
It's a committee of people.
Yeah.
That aren't a company.
Interesting. But will we always have some kind of link to where it came from?
I mean, we'll have the GitHub user, but I'm not sure that's always going to be the person who deserves the credit.
The Readme should have that. I mean, it's usually in there, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to parse that Readme.
No, I just mean like as far as if you're worried about correctly attributing to people, if they click on the theme, it'll be on the theme page.
Yeah, they will get it on the theme page. I just think like having it here definitely it sets the tone, right? Which would make Drupal significantly different from Backdrop, where it's like we're going to give you something pretty and we're going to tell you who made it, and that's kind of a different environment than in Drupal, where it's like, you know, here's a whole bunch of developer information.
Right. And I was thinking actually on the scaffolding themes, that might be a lot more valuable. Is like having this is, you know, meant for SaaS and it has this and that, and like.
Yeah, that's a thought too, Darius. If we wanted to leave it this two items per row display, we could use all this extra space for putting in the description, because here, like having a logo and a name doesn't provide a lot of value, but having the description here would.
Yeah.
So well, I mean, we should keep the logo, but we could add description to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we could,
so
reduce.
That would make the masonry possibly uneven. How would you feel about that?
Well, what if we just took the logo and put it in the lower right of where it says like Bootstrap? So we bootstrap on the logo on the right, and then use the whole space on the top for a description of what that theme is, or even
I would maybe
flip it or something.
Flip the card, the title at the top. Maybe.
Yeah.
But,
there you go.
For the masonry, we could just say in CSS, there's a, if the text gets clipped, end it with an ellipsis, and if it just goes too long, click on it.
Okay. I think I want to keep the masonry even here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I vote we clip it and force an ellipsis.
Okay, let me make a comment. So for scaffolding themes, we want to flip the cards essentially.
Yeah, just so the names at the top and the descriptions at the bottom.
Okay.
We can keep the squares so that they line up.
Okay, cool.
And then in the whole space at the bottom, we'll just put the description, so we can say Bootstrap based, whatever, or SendGrids based, or whatever we want.
Cool. And again, here I was also thinking about the infinite scrolling, right? Because you're still like in exploring mode. So we have like exploring versus like detailed searching.
Yeah, I think I'm still against infinite scroll everywhere, just because there's if you find something you like, you're never going to be able to find it again. It's just like a usability problem.
But it's also a usability problem. To me personally, as a designer, I like to just browse. Like featured. Oh, what's going on? Let me just scroll and move and look. But if I'm specifically looking for something, I'm in dev mode. I'm going to use the search box, and then it defaults to a pager after that.
But that would assume you knew what to search for. Like you need a term to put in there.
Right.
But
I
if
mean,
you
you
don't,
know, like I'm a designer, right? I'm looking for a minimal theme. I'm gonna type in minimal, for example. I'll go to the next. Go to the one with the list view.
sure.
You see, we have two modes here. So at the bottom of here, now we have our pager. I think they're two different paradigms.
Yeah, I'm with Darius on that. I like the idea of infinite scroll for the image based quick hit kind of thing. And like I don't know that pagination, it makes it that much easier to find something.
It's not finding it. It's just like when you have found it and you're like, here, use this. You can't send someone a link to any page with infinite
You can
scrolling.
link to the node though.
Yeah, I would link to the actual theme, right? I mean, or a very specific search. Trying to think what the use case is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a.
I think we should try it. Let's try it. Let's just try it.
All
We
right.
have both, right?
Yeah. Okay.
It's differentiator. No one's doing it. And if it's a disaster, we can just flip the switch and put pager in there.
All right. Fair enough.
Awesome. Yay. And then I had some scrolling ideas. Page over. One more. Okay, as you scroll, I imagine, so look at you see how it's cut off at the top?
Uh-huh.
Imagine all pushing, and then go to the next one. And then when you get to a certain point, it locks at the top, and then things scroll underneath.
It's like a sticky scroller.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you were to click one, they would rearrange, and then it would just like stay like that underneath there. And your view would resume. And then if you were to scroll up, you would see the search stuff at the top.
Huh. That might be hard.
I
Not that
figured.
bad.
When you click on one, it'll go to a different URL. And so then we'd have to find some way to get
I figured that
it to
wouldn't be
scroll
easy.
down. But we
I
can
figured
think about it.
Be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that you're visioning the awesome and we can figure out the
Shoot for the moon, right? Yeah.
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 But that's something that's likely to we'll push that to we'll launch it first and then we'll figure that out later.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's a minimum viable product. Must
Yeah.
have.
Must have
Right,
sticky links.
But yeah, it works just fine without that.
Okay.
And then that's it. That's a design.
It's cute. I really like this simple, clean screenshot plus name thing.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah, when I was designing this, I'm like, oh my god, this thing feels real now.
Right.
Maybe once we build a themes page, we'll get a ton of themes.
Especially since it's all designy now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe I could just take Radix and make some of these little thumbnail themes real.
Yeah.
What's Radix?
It's a Bootstrap-based theme that's already in Contrib. I don't understand Contrib themes. I'm so used to just building everything custom. I don't understand the use case. To me, it's like, but I need to know the requirements.
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
All of them.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, now that it's here, it's like build it and it will come, right? Like now I'm like, oh, now I want to fill this up with stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one minor thing is if you look at the navigation thing, go back to maybe. I was experimenting with uppercase, lowercase. I think it's better when the back one more.
Oh, here?
Yeah, so it's lowercase there, and go back one more. I think it's better when it's uppercase. It helps differentiate it better.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I like the uppercase. And one thing we do need to worry about, too, is we don't currently have any categories for themes. So that's another to-do item for us is to figure out what our filters might actually be in a way that's valuable to people. I think there might be categories on Drupal.org we can look at for themes to try and see if those are going to help us, but we should maybe look at like WordPress and other systems too, see if they have categories for themes. Just, I mean, it might be easier to just remove it because we don't have any themes yet. We don't have very many themes yet, and do that research and then add it later once we need it and have a good solution. But I think we should leave this organ to start. Cool.
So I have to work on the node page.
Yep. But I think it looks great. I don't feel like there's anything missing now that I've seen the designs, even though it might not have been in our original plan. So.
That's what I thought too. I'm like, oh wait, now looking at this, let's think about that.
Okay.
Yay, that's awesome. Easiest interview ever. Thank you.
It's fabulous. All right, so back to the agenda. I think they look great. Thank you for the amazing work, Darius. I think that's, coming along really well. Other things we talked about briefly, the find layouts page and the layout project page, those are in our to-do list, so we're going to get we're trying to do these from like most urgent to least urgent, so we started with modules because we had the most modules, and then we did themes, and we'll do layouts next. But that's kind of all we have on our plate right now for the backdropcms.org site. We do have bigger plans in the future for adding like a showcase site and like a job listing and a service providers and all of that stuff that the Drupal network has that it does really well. But we do have other stuff we're working on. Like we ordered. Oh, I should show you guys. Hold on. We ordered new stickers for Backdrop in the last few weeks, and we ended up with 2 different sizes. Where are the stickers hiding? I accidentally ordered 3-inch stickers, which originally I thought was going to be a big problem, but then they turned out being exactly the right size for phones. So let's see here. Here we go. So the lighting in here is a little funny, but we have the normal size stickers, which are this big, and then we have this like miniature dragon sticker, which is also pretty cute. So next event, anybody going anywhere, let us know. We'll mail you a bag of stickers, and you can hand them out to people there. So I think they're adorable. Other things we have on our to-do list is T-shirts. I haven't emailed the guy. I meant to email him this morning, but I forgot about getting us new illustrations. So I'll do that when this meeting's over. And just for a new dragon, maybe a flying dragon or something like that. And then branding assets. If anybody's watching this video now or later and wants to create like a background for our Facebook or Twitter pages, we could definitely use something like that. It's a quick, small task for anyone who wants to kind of just throw in some design work at Backdrop. And then I think that's it in terms of things that we're actively working on. We do have a human interface guidelines document on GitHub that we started working on a while ago that hasn't gotten a lot of attention recently, and if somebody is super interested in studying human interface guidelines and wants to kind of analyze what we've done with Backdrop, document it, and then try and create some to-do lists of making things actually match our guidelines, that would be great. But it is something that we would like to have just because we think it's important, but it's not not super high priority, so it hasn't been getting a lot of attention recently. I think that's all I had. Are there any questions or anything we should talk about relating to Backdrop and design stuff?
I guess just updates in 2 weeks then, from me, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, it was a huge leap, those designs.
Yeah,
I'm really glad to hear that. I don't have much to redo.
They look really good.
Thank you.
I have something that I think is more appropriate for this call. One thing I've been thinking about, if we're splitting, since we're splitting themes and layouts, they both might want to use a framework like Bootstrap. So like, how do we even handle that It's been something that's been sticking in my mind.
Yeah, so the way I've been thinking about it is like most, I'm not sure this is entirely true, but most frameworks tend to split like layout CSS from design CSS anyway. And so the way I would envision that is like if you take a theme like Zen grids would go into the layouts, and then
Right.
other stuff would go into the theme. So if there's a way that you can like split the framework events, and I know Bootstrap too splits all of its stuff into like a whole bunch of different types of things, and you can include or exclude different pieces depending on what you're doing. So I would imagine like the Bootstrap theme for Backdrop would probably not contain any of its layout stuff. That would go in the Bootstrap layout for Backdrop. But I don't know like if you were going to try and build a Bootstrap theme without the Bootstrap layouts, if you're going to try to do that with core, you would have to like theme override the CSS files that go with those core layouts, or theme override the templates that go with those layouts in order to get that same thing to happen. And I don't know like if people would choose to just put in the Bootstrap framework in the theme or not. I would
Also, I
say
was thinking it's like a module that has a library, and then you can call whatever. You can say, I want the whole shebang, or I want just the layout. And then it makes sure that it only gets added to the page once, and that we're using the right version.
Yeah.
But that's a level of coordination that people making the contrib stuff would have to figure out.
Yeah, I think probably it's hard to know without actually doing it, and someone would just need to build one or two of those things and see how they fit together. And there are probably some, like there's some technical reason why one way is better than the other that I can't think of until you have code running and you can see how it works. But you definitely can include a library or bundle a library with either a module or a theme. And I think, I don't know how, I mean, I think like because the theme comes later, it should probably be the theme's responsibility to make sure that it's not adding it twice. Like it would say like if, you know, doesn't exist whatever layout, then add it, otherwise include it or something. But
Alrighty.
All right, yeah, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, well then I think that's it for this meeting. We'll go ahead and wrap and pick up our other check-in meeting in 15 minutes. But thanks guys for coming, and thanks Darius for all the great work on the new designs.
Awesome, thanks guys.
Let me know if I can help out implementing said designs.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great.
Cool.
All right.
Bye.
All right, later.